I'm good, thank you. I just have to get water. Sorry.
You ready to go?
Yes.
Are you two ready?
Yeah.
The United States Federal Government should remove controlled substance act prohibition on marijuana connection to its contention. One is industry state legalization is a number of arguments 14 includes that of glass and order in Colorado, Washington initiatives are similar initiatives are half of the others 14 laws 16 already decriminalized momentum aside or whatnot. That's percent of you about everyone you come marijuana service of 0% participation clause of legal under federal law threat enforcement creates uncertainty trusting industry underground canon in 14 differential treatment under state federal law creates significant legal strength federal control of the federal laws more for confusion concerning extension of collateral backlash will bring the states will have one federal Washington initiatives will help federal enforcement on state federal process for self abuse only easy was obviously just looking for registrations in taxation regulation we have to practice remain or term under entry prohibitions of legislation and providers and customers even if not enforced the creates legal conflicts that crushes the industry came in 14 could remove conflicts ratings as one of the most critical enforceable countries on the borders and curfews and these residents and especially threats of prosecution for preliminary basic dates gun shy held lack of being service power on the ship as long as prohibited federal prosecution lawyers can use legal practice with the use for process of the city not your consequences of federal prohibition of public public service condition not arguing criminal the federal discrimination possible state version of things will apply conservative accessible and control crucial differences from two crops to levels and another new president may charge people also those state law can be prosecuted for a lot of government keeps process federal prohibition has profound effects CSA removal to all the policies of multiple federal agencies not person tells me because 14 of the culture of the decision impact rates of the south federal agencies outside there are let's already take on work which does not federal agencies run for one not some practices local officials from intelligence use central or psyche circa 1979 what the UG students did they promised unfortunately now cut it for firms and individuals will waive the versions of the not working cuts off on the heads of hydro taking change federal law to kill the hydro removal must be unambiguous. The green light the industry fires under 14 CSA is on the books of version substance control the order of legal CSA the last one from 4 states develop once it's belongs federal around the total money created confusion over UG efforts of this prosecution and over safety first efforts of our now organization foundation of conscience less legal smoking that can change at any time to allow states to make their own decision first unambiguous federal action underground pot fuels larger terrorism legalization substance fair tax rights and accent cartels based on 14 provisional global electric police control and military support for drug purchasing workers and control the drug dealers and control the behaviors science and drug terrorism charge the illegal shop farming and fail state shark sellers cover there's no overlap the pairs legal want to replace Mexican and course you legalization for the Mexican drug company over and beyond the drug manufacturing and bites gets all reduction and it has to be enormous research to say direct correlation between profits and terrorist violence each other increasing good cartels and terrorist organizations do nasty violence cartels to be more than the legalization has a big effect country evidence is wrong as back and full of non-right cartels music cartels will not be beaten for safety and the marijuana use legalization led to cartels using both domestic markets both Canadian markets large impact cartels and legal markets like those even for cartels are competing legal markets must be to close up shop is a far watching with their power and influence not be severely weakened to increase revenue behavior resources distribution networks by influence with which are influence for cartel production of other illicit goods making revenue reduce profits other markets legalization cuts off funding for economic political military strength they can't fight about conservative rise it frees up resources for law enforcement force and intended puts into about the fact that legal sourcing growth fucking our profits over that trying to use marijuana market for exchange for specifically to do the prohibition increase underground representation for second political state big truck and income because plus money for out so and politicians over recruiting young people to work with the work ethic big truck of this with resulting for this interest in violent aspects of legalization and addition to reducing economic and future crimes business reducing management that is hard plan rhetoric worse of statistics can change cannot change that fundamental question alternative profit sources only make us the perfect middle ground reduces cartel strength enough to solve without causing them to split through violent remorality 11 before pushing the stock stock financial knowledge while I'm taking clearly here at protecting equity including buying in fashion other than help few financial resources making provide or if something number of because access make your leadership much more vulnerable growth health provide terrorist organizations safe havens and rise we hack the US snakes are likely worth all 30 minutes because of the war around Virginia with the cartels and terrorists like we want a presence near the US around the multi presence Latin America pollution with the cartels and significant excuse me, the U.S. Islamists are trying to win parts of Mexican people as well as training bases and sleeper cells max labor resist dark with skills and bomb making law as created from American border transfer weapons to the U.S. The less capable of killing nature people in major units just attack as possible those and tribes alone such as all such American totals at a high hospital that is dark and great has less high structural others was extinct from the U.S. national security attacks will be nuclear ID in 12 units that also terrorist nuclear material and terrorist attacks plans for suffering people of American Texas has one cartels and cartels only in Hezbollah they control the train terrorists or free rockets will be more to the U.S. and comfortable with the on the third side and check on a 13 hour substance include the nuclear merger goals from the strategic consensus versus international use of administrative informational technology global use multiple localization which means issue material pre-bomb within people with universal studies of interest to go including uses control materials to filter weapons for decades or so because of minutes into air mission extinction US Russian nuclear accidental warfare and 13 war US Russian nuclear arsenal with catastrophic events in the humanity and nuclear war presents substantial risk here I also think like US or Russia that resemble attack by the very scenarios are possible because of massive involved control pollution security increasing the trend of the party rate tension making nations misinterpret attack intention Tuesday experimentation marijuana for force causing a crisis score and 13 marijuana testing most of the pressing complex of religion issue options explaining with consumer use and into conflicts around have refused lost refused support to constitute state courts or answer national conservative committee of the application of orders of the federal law ensure state policy choices marijuana state crisis state federal sparring undermines the cultural dimension of state authority concern in 2009 represents foreign content states domestic rush with important legal and cultural aspects of just federal law social psychological and pragmatic moods of the culture this puzzle and see after seizure most what to do clear legal subversion laws and general cultural conflict and public historical fact people citizens coming around multiple states and politics conscious state conflict reflects tensions of federalism regulatory disconnect at all three levels of the government makes marijuana unique in 13 steps goes central marijuana more than any phenomenon streamed virtually by the three levels of government census is unlike any phenomenon supported at its highest point yet federal prohibition shows no sign of weakening this kind of may have gotten too great as a test case for state experimentation correct and 13 goals of putting considered situation involving state federal restrictions or whether countries like states determining kind of false results in states genetic further independence with regard to other aspects such as immigration or removing marijuana from the CSA that's all state experimentation shutting in policy say is the most salient consequences it is not going to have as a state policy federal regulation innovation and burdensome engineering innovation against the CSA potential for enforcement with experimentation competition and innovative regulatory seems like federal does not leave back from state innovation states are left in defiance of federal policy with state-based service supported by citizen choice and innovation decentralization states around new upward for culture criminal states relates to normally to back the state-based authority states will continue states practicing against the federal regulation outside the prisoners the long federal website of these inefficient regulation after goods long term marijuana states and to benefit from tax revenue state economy seems to best all turn to the state legislation from the competition tax innovation experimentation releasing jurisdictional competition without favor general waiver the process conflicting law getting see how the game will play its state experimentation vessels immigration fuller enforcing policy vessels drinking considerable states can a greater say U.S. can rebound as a state experimentation state to the government and further immigration be local commensurate states supporting considerable restrictions state based users and language relate which generate for large benefits states and better understand concept of additional upgrades state based program with system has additional need to relying on federal government to change policy reading higher ratio that's key to science diplomacy figuring and temple leveraging side of use foreign policy reflection county samples trust what government contact me the soon to get you specialized foreign working forecasting chemical global ambassadors from American global in the U.S. and foreign new solutions sustainable development disease for relation for oceans wildlife and technology is technically to describe what just waiting from dialogue with countries relax collaboration that cooperate as sides of work still conflict revolution U.S. government is because for the bilateral agreements for global for U.S. foreign policy extinction federal in 2008 legal parts to address respect to the concepts of global peace starts to language and border health protection government the British probably food security extremism even with assisting this side of cooperation like now we may use recognition and global tension range to implement multiple global efforts focused on biological and nuclear security decentralization is key to stabilize Ukraine U.S. influence key Joseph and 14 if Ukraine versus what West need to come up with a point of abuse and power that they Russian next and those greater rationalization we can put the tilts with your committee here watching to see what's up all power the capacity to transfer power to the municipal doing so we keep pressing members greater state enhancing their ability to see the challenges of centralization of killing the U.S. work very closely with the watching back its top rudder state solid state clap Roberts and 14 decentralization from the Ukraine world's not concluded dismantling the work customers to the primary force political efficiency or governments and reducing corruption decentralization encourage local areas critical and creating you can have the domestic centralization for development this work leads the Ukraine state altogether given the other pressures that the country presently face extinction that and 14 that is treated in boxes versus like one air traffic Russian Ukrainian the U.S. should avoid excuse me being Joining to war, Washington to discourage Ukrainian government to use force to hold any region that could lead to destruction, including new resistance to start threatening ancient work nuclear conversations would be conflict involving American nuclear power committed to several of the power wars global catastrophe. The AC has shifted the burden of healthcare experimentation from the states and federal government, undermining overall innovation and success facts and enforcing its potential ability to completely transform healthcare over expand insurance and change markets with useful potential rates using successive and possible accountability, foster innovation, federal government seeking responsibility of healthcare use for performance and action for experimentation, production, enhanced role of federal government innovation, healthcare, the whole of bureaucracy, not being source innovation, healthcare support, state government, structured at state government, decentralization, solves Miller, and 12 activities with key states and techniques to do better health policies, decentralized state version, private state control, there are more realistic practices, more close charge, American proposal, and state health insurance regulation, and interstate competition with the power customers, better choices, this market system reduce cost possible to involves interstate compacts, high healthcare costs, medical innovation, solves disease, McClellan, and entry cost government, important wasn't full value, medical technology, maximizing nutritional innovation, but nutrient, find better ways to keep care, affordable innovation, technology, affordable housing, address affordability, medical innovation, criminal health, slow down drug people's health, the temporary market, temporary disease causes extinction. Gone and 14 dependent on developing with vaccine for the about change constantly emerging across the maintain possibly to slow the human station the opportunity to try consequences of producing for which scientists may not be able to immediately find a cure. Okay. Did you when did you mark all those cards?
Was the last card you read con?
Yeah, I skipped over job.
Yeah, and you marked that cure?
Yeah,
right.
I marked McClellan.
I've got all of your marks.
Okay. Do you want the marks? You're good.
Oh, I was telling Kat she can come in.
Oh, I thought you were like start the cross
I know.
out. Sounds like we're
Michaela makes the cranes run it
For real this time. All right. Your Rosenthal evidence talks about an alliance between Hezbollah and the Zetas. What incentive do Mexican cartels have to ally with radical Islamist groups?
That cash money as well as their vote anti-American.
Well, okay, sure, but they're like vastly different kinds of anti-American. Why do they need cartels in order, or why do they need like terrorist groups in order to get cash?
Their interests align. The terrorist groups pay them cash to use their like territories.
It's also that the interests overlap, but not necessarily the same, right? So they have co-interests in certain levels of violence, certain levels of attacks. Do Mexican cartels want to launch a nuclear weapon against the U.S.? Maybe not. But they allow to do it.
I guess that's sure. The state experimentation argument. Your internal link evidence to Ukraine says that the United States needs to devise a plan for decentralization that Ukraine would use. What piece of evidence do you think makes an argument that that plan would be based on our marijuana policy?
Well, our evidence actually is pretty good on this question. It says that decentralization policy within Ukraine, regardless of whatever the specific plan is, would only work if our actions back up our rhetoric. So we're telling them that a model of decentralization is good now, but the absence of the U.S. taking any steps domestically towards decentralization means that that rhetoric is not seen as credible.
What kind of step toward? Well, okay. This evidence says that no. Wait. This evidence says that Washington literally needs to give them a way to do it, and then it talks about how they think that we screwed up Bosnia. What part of this card do you think makes an argument about the United States' domestic policy?
Okay. It says the challenge is to make decentralization at the local level appealing to most of the country. The United States is working closely with Kiev. If Washington backs up its tough rhetoric with
and then in the size 8, but the size 8 part of that card says that those concrete steps would be a package backed by serious EU money. It's like talking about aid to the Ukrainians.
I just don't know what part of the evidence you're talking
about.
That is actually happening.
I want to talk about the immigration arguments. I guess, how does states give out visas?
Well,
like that requires some.
Visas.
So it requires some kind of congressional acquiescence, yeah.
Not necessarily. Our argument is that the plan allows the states to experiment on a wide variety of issues without federal involvement.
Sure, but like true or false, only Congress can give out visas.
Right now.
So your argument is that the constitutional power. Okay, that's
our argument is that the federal government would let the states experiment.
The ACA, your internal link evidence is this Miller card is from 2012. He's talking about the Sebelius case that the Supreme Court ruled the other direction. Why does the precedent of marijuana take precedence over an actual Supreme Court decision that said the federal government has the power to do this stuff?
Again, assumes the status quo. Our evidence says that the plan would give the states authority and more broader precedent to on a wide.
Well, I agree that it's like conceptually similar, but if there's literally a ruling by the Supreme Court that says it's not true,
our argument is not that the ACA is not the plan like flips the ACA because the ACA was unconstitutional and was federal power. Our argument is that the ACA exists now, and that increasing the level of state experimentation innovation is key to make the ACA effective. Our argument is not ACA bad; it's ACA effectiveness.
5 off cartels, state experimentation.
Did you get the email?
I did, thank you.
Awesome.
Come on.
Would you like a both?
I'm good, thank you. I just had some. Did you have any of this spicy chocolate?
No.
It was good. But like,
Yours, but I'm sure. Okay. It's not a lot of evidence. But
Did you all get it?
oh, that's what the court and I are doing.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's not some data question about
Did you get it?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sorry. You probably gave an order. I wasn't listening.
5 off, and then cartels and state experimentation. Specification violation by the resolution of the plan by negative failure to specify beyond the regulatory regime makes the plan void for vagueness, spreads negative government policy analysis of possible climate trigger. Not even once an act of legalization of failure to specify beyond what is meant by legalization. The proposals readily address the legalization of the such a move in the details of the proposed the consequence of legalization had almost entirely on the details of regulatory regime vote negative ground. Force the negative to reach an anticipated to prevent debates over the details of plans, legalization pace, and anticipated the regulations at the heart of the topic. Net neutrality, net neutrality requirements coming out. Obama's pressures. He had 11 chapter for the first battle, 11 chapter for the internet, 11 to the FCC to enact net neutrality, the legalization, the White House, the president, 7 against President will intention to stand up to the new Congress lawmakers to the war of the funding next to the White House denying the September 11th the FCC is part of the vote on the neutrality, net neutrality decision the FCC being made now, not in the application, but Obama seemed to make a huge impact on Chairman Willard and 2 other Democrats. The 2 Republicans are expected to post meeting the Democratic Commission is the most important voices liberalizing marijuana policy, trace political capital law, 12 Obama the order the DA the series of reschedule the decision move would hardest political mobilization for the president when accept Republican such move has serious effect on the politics right with political divisions the right badly divided then politicians and globalization becomes saddle with label to turn rapidly trying to leaders towards political capital when they kind of green light last marijuana less than prosperity and president dealing net neutrality is Canadian internet economy free trade Maury 14 net neutrality the actually should have preferential treatment of the websites administration has a fix in the internet policy the FCC and not the internet infrastructure will show the FCC encourage the to cater the kind of customers willing to pay for the stakes in the US economy or highly willing to ban the Harvard tech for use the community cost the issue or would rise in the country to be follow Washington's lead national protections method that goes off the markets that would extend the with internet with the word itself and daily life and governing shifting the economy in the world and the effect of the business if Obama fails to reverse working the internet could have a patchwork of events and uncomfortable effect of net neutrality is a major component of the success of the internet economy and migrants and the relied on the critical of winning score to have massively impacted innovation in the growth of the internet economy account for 4.1% of GDP economic segregation under leadership of nuclear war proliferation and collapse of U.S. foreign policy turning case O'Hanlon 12 American economically or under leadership of government systems living in allies and data commitment to pursue nuclear weapons and opportunity to less restrain the person over the western regions and the rest able the more major world more likely to articulate the healing America's critical rise of climate change moving toward the world with nuclear weapons the much more regulation the restoring the economic strength now the other possible to rework this foreign policy is now reestablished single convention how to play the United States office amendment to the single convention on narcotic drugs allowed the state parties of the treaty to legalize marijuana the United States to legalize marijuana and only if the amendment is ratified and then the event that treaty ratification fails all marijuana will be illegal in the United States as per the convention treaty is disadvantage marijuana is a test to stress that or international law compliance impact is hot by escalation and fail to cooperate on every global issue better and Watch 1015 the incentive to play on marijuana the opportunity the input the adaptability international legals and no treaty against all the collapse of the political consensus one and policies will find a way to accommodate by adapting the commitments to cutting new charitable law would reach the law of farmers striking the marijuana reform to the good the cheap and constructive adaptation of the marijuana goods which is good to the adaptation of the international system never more than you can underscore the importance of more resistant to the international narcotics treaty the highly visible to demonstrate the adaptation change would reaffirm American commitment to the marijuana policy to stress that great power wars acts 14 international law the laws that are crossed with these problems may feel over the nations have to become lost in the travel of the largest and territorial comes the central rising the publicly guidance of the international laws of war there's no balance of power the imbalances without law open conflicts is likely as the country does have to be the only possible safety to international law waiver counterplan the United States federal government substantially require federal policy waiver control substance act prohibitions on marijuana for states that restrict marijuana sales and state operated outlets that forbid private growers from marketing marijuana is a requirements of the supply contract cartels. No cooperation between the terror groups and the DTO's keeper. 9/11 Muslims from the illegal or the IIs only infiltrated in the U.S. The domestic war, the U.S. intel has cooperation is unlikely to back for the between the cartel and the allowing the the sheriff of the carry out the terrorist attack without massive U.S. military response to respond with tight border security handling struggling operation. The plan leads to cartel diversification in areas that would consolidate formal political power in the term Mexico into a narco safe hub. Ted legalization is actually the violence of the DTO's power and the legalization of the DTO and hits over the violent power to take over the legal economies. Actually, those informal economies succeed in the informal economy to be greater than that for the migrant marijuana market would emerge higher the tax and the DTO to undercut the tax and the great market are highly violent, protected, not control the territory for the marijuana is cultivated. The DTO continue to dominate the fields, causes short-term violence. The cartel sounds like Hilbert. Ted DTO has ran on the way with the large scope of his dismissal to make how to create their own organization that legal to become a cause to hurting level contamination of the legal strength of the party of the minor attempt to the former employers and would be the productive violent resulting from conflict between the current leaders and dismissed labor. No nuclear terrorism again. 10 missing persons being Hollywood country again like the people of recording whoever's off was available included the virtually impossible to show the 172 days of the 9/11 family involved WOD the process of any nuclear crisis zero and included that those re-advertised the millions of dollars after them able to acquire the nuclear weapon which was a reference well funded these report and states still building the building but what's here represents the problem of accumulating HEU state experimentation no federalism I don't think it would and if it was it would create instability sites wall 13 nobody is the bottom line of American military when given the right draft of the Constitution and the England region to the 729 Constitution in the U.S. the rarely used the function and played and the DNA the system that equally strong from the in the past years even 30 countries of Latin America adopted the American title system also had to come to revolution and no war between U.S. and Russia wars they want to escalate 713 and watching the Moscow for the high people from the pragmatic policy makers one of the few factors that are going below that confrontation the life of the political this happens to the Russia and the U.S. the economy the drain with the political and instability continues from the conflict of the board on the suicide in the U.S. control with the devil and socialist of the indicated desire to yes with the scenario with Russia being directed from political history as well as part of the neighborhood of the mainstream real likelihood of conflict the U.S. is not offered to organize the relationship with the Russian limited scale the operations mark operations cooperative federalism is key to natural gas production state leads to short the environment and sustainability fracking link goes only one way powers 11 September conflict in the regulatory between the acceptance and confusion the sort of federal law or to apply in the state regulator more times to the charge of the best loot of the history expertly the regulator at the federal level the more immediate risk in the harm developing the natural gas and increase will not like the insurmountable barrier to production that made the legal norm the stability the board of the regulatory probably have to like the interest in the industry state laws and inadequate to prevent the harm to the barrier within resource limit the control of the capabilities dependency inhibit the gas production regulation the reversal federal regulation to prevent the hindrance of the beneficial economy by ensuring the regulation public have access to providing the oversight tracking to the same Iranian nuclear negotiations in Levine 11.5 American gas and parts of the public company we have the financial talking the gas and probably without bronze movable nuclear policy the lower all the presence with the liability of the economic resources of the help found American strategic design for money release the low oil of the more likely to be on confidence with American capital because they develop oil economic sector the top of that deal the Iranian opinion can strike back prevents Iran proliferation and real stretch bras 1016 Iranians will probably the rate from the produce weapons together the United States was no longer present the Iraq possessing nuclear weapons the groups temptation the loss of the military track of the government not only to the game crisis but against the international community where we were going military action this is dangerous because it's possible that both sides will find way out and impossible to get the intention the incentive of the negotiations in the current terms we have the Iranian program preserving the status quo is probably uncertain the danger of the sea of the million number of the comprehensible agreement decentralization and immigration policy discussions foreign policy coherence and global cooperation on proliferation cyber 10 HP petitioning and taken as a federal government or support for the U.S. the foreign policy issue the effective U.S. ability to negotiate and implement the trade and investment agreement with cooperation on counterterrorism and the outcomes of international bodies on non-proliferation HP things that undermine our same the regional and multilateral bodies and they make it more difficult for foreign national the rights and obligation of the possible protection of the U.S. becoming more foreign the U.S. is seeking to support the foreign government the only federal government the relationship and the information the evaluate the short and the left and the present a serious threat of the immigration policy and the foreign policy demands proliferation plus nuclear war coding 14 threat of the nuclear weapons of the in the international community, including nuclear weapons, instability, and training freedom, and acting more the state of possessing the greatest probability of the catastrophic war before that made the nuclear states of the nuclear the second threat in the state to have against the use of force to get the state in the sovereign role arsenal might use some and pressures no internal link can turn the science diplomacy Dixon tethers contested the society of the desirable most part of how this use the science of the science of the no substitute to almost be available common home to the institution thinking it's been to complete the scientific consistency of already collective action without the action that scientific ideas the piece of not be exactly applicable to the tube and cannot be papered over, market over, decentralization undercuts ACA implementation, Gershman, 14 nullification of state health the team will be starting the start of the ACA attachment. Measure will not the officials and reports from the media properly saying here that the six sovereign entities are not obligated to enforce the law. Of course, the law of the WSA TV and no scenario for super about our own trade off transmissibility or in by people after transmissibility something that you know, but I just will depend on how keeping you out of door means that the host how the folks are not chance about transmissibility and the violence and should increase them because of virus. Leaving them level transfer the just are we on what door winning a lot of the Tuesdays and transfer the use of dies with you often as a science diplomacy card hyper the island of game of the favoring one for the science lead to new weaponry no nor to time to lead the rejection of the global quality science or diplomacy and the highly mission review the science cannot provide the solutions. Process.
Okay, can we make you go for any of the kind of ones?
If you drop them.
Yeah, I mean, like dropping them would be a pretty good way.
Okay, what's the net benefit of the waivers counter plan?
The net benefit of the waivers counter plan is the decentralization bad turns on case.
Okay, I have a couple of
And
questions.
politics.
I have a couple of questions
Also.
about those terms. The fracking term,
Yep.
the powers evidence, what's the uniqueness for it? Because that part says that a patchwork of state regulations on fracking would be bad, but then it also says that federal regulations are necessary. What else says that federal regulations on fracking are going to come now?
I think that the powers evidence makes a claim that the federal laws are able to be applied in the status quo.
Your evidence is prescriptive that federal laws should apply, but they don't. But it seems clear that the federal government is interested in developing natural gas.
Right.
Okay. State laws are
Like, I think that it's making a predictive claim that the federal government is going to do this in the status quo.
If federal law were to apply, the push to begin hydrofracking.
Right. I think that the line that you read before that is indicative of the context of the article, which is that federal law is coming now and that they will do
trust
fracking.
the context of the article and nothing that you read. Cool.
Like, you read a quote that was like, they're interested in it now and they will do it.
The Steinberg evidence cites HB 56, which was literally the most restrictive anti-immigration policy ever to be passed. The plan is the opposite of that, so why is this not an AFCAR?
Well,
That's-
for starters, I'm not sure you get to say the plan is the opposite of that because
Plan
in a
says
world of decentralization, state experiments would presumably include some liberal and some conservative experiments.
That?
Just like the fact that Arizona in a world of decentralization is not going to be super nice to immigrants.
Also, the second half of the article says, by creating a patchwork of immigration regimes, states make it more difficult for foreign nationals to understand their rights and obligation, goes on to impact
But
that.
that's in the context of HB 56, which was literally the most restrictive anti-immigration law ever passed.
No, it uses HB 56 as one example, but it goes on to say that this is an example of why state legalization of immigration policies is bad.
The FCC, DA, so the FCC, completely different entity from Congress. Can you explain why a fight that Obama has with Congress over marijuana affects his political capital on a board of 5 people who only deal with
Sure.
issues?
What our story is going to be is that it's a public messaging strategy.
I'm not interested in your story. I'm interested in the story that you have
Okay,
yourself.
the evidence says that it's a public messaging strategy in the status quo. Obama needs to look strong in order to give Wheeler political cover. If he doesn't look strong or have political capital to give Wheeler that political cover, then Wheeler won't go ahead because he thinks that Obama will allow Republicans to like defund the FCC.
If it's about public messaging, why does the public think that marijuana affects Obama's ability to deal with issues of
It's not like public means that Obama has political capital. It's a public messaging strategy in that Obama has officially announced that he will give Wheeler cover, and that if he does not
Why
look
does the
strong
plan-
vis-a-vis the Republicans, which is what the AF does,
I understand
he
that
cannot
it's like
give that cover.
strength. I'm asking why strength on marijuana is equivalent to strength on the internet.
that's I just answered.
I could tell. Yeah. How did you know that?
Okay, 9:29 left. Just save
I got
me.
9:33. I'm a
Perspective biscuit. Intuitive biscuit. That was so good.
No apologies.
I keep forgetting you are literally the inventor of the biscuit. Original biscuit.
Well, we're jumping, it'll be industry, state experimentation, T/specification, the waivers counterplan, UN counterplan, UN dised, and the FTCDA.
Oh, boy.
Do you both have it pulled up? Yeah. Is there anyone who's not ready?
Yes, cartel terrorism groups like Hezbollah and cooperating with terrorists like gang support from Iran cartels, providing safe haven for trading and launching and attack their key terroristic and bomb across the board that's both over those night. Be to group their turns to legalization, so cartels the bar is preventing a terrorist attack, not complete cartel plus marijuana 60% of their profits undercuts other activities because they don't have capital from that. Bullshit both to make cars and mere diversification is wrong word. It's all cartel money to lose less of are like this cartel that's because cartels move other kinds of crap those are some base consequences because are diverse right the drug crimes most plentiful and high. Apart from merchant with the vessels business the more drug money said the more money with another business which are more violent, yes. Terrorism cartels making you like multiple reports for there is not there is desire knowledge while available in terms of UCL building bombs for use of that bomb they can see across US Russia, nuclear now, state experimentation, yes, modeling for specific Ukraine, damage US is posing, decentralism now, but needs to back up its rhetoric by sending a signal to US forces centralization for itself doesn't look hypocritical, yes. Russia, where their efforts to assume Ukraine, commits miscalculation or mission group that are banned haven't lines group group the fracking turn first there's no link state experimentation doesn't mean zero federal policy plan only affects areas where states would push the Fed out. We've read specific spillover efforts for healthcare and immigration aid just asserted decentralization everything ever there's no impact to state experimentation just preclude federal intervention and there's no race the bond itself crisis solves regional variance and federal policies where it's Adler it's over here just competition feels better policy competition race during this high powerful means discovered one policy or most effect we should resume the state government chain plus reasonably federal intervention says we hope that once we can some reason why state during before for federal competition is great to take taxing regulate to investment healthy jurisdictions modern resident infrastructure environmental contact and issue without policies solve out difference in geography climate demographics determine what policies best of the federal relation really federal match theoretical we should place about the federal like do not some metric notion with the government what the perfect world federal dimension scarcity and nation state learn from each other across the which they experiment improve over time to reduce the risk of policy state we provide goods and services to taxpayers employers that one side seeks employers to the bottom come short federal creative device facility state representative discovery process results experimentation and competition in oil prices are 4-year low painted in 10-20 years crucial 10 Russia's oil price also around 115 July 85 times less than 4 years price state 6 production be the mismatch between growing supply lackluster demand shows no sign to break versus move people want to near future Goldman Sachs is outlook 400 jobs 85 and you guess 10% increase of the lose there's no impact to Iran or it's also we get new entries they do not we get new entries that they do now the immigration number this is stats go age B56 was an example of a state was an example of a state that didn't want immigration other states would experiment and massively expand state visas trees that we saw this they've read the impact for they've read impact for and pro-left doesn't as they walk into other acts relevant consequences no the main effects for the greater culture not to be takes and probably was not get the state black was not sure in our city kids this work and so if you agree it was how to translate nation block make this super hard this world lost lots of family neighbors know how many impacts there's been lost over to nuclear agreement to Japan and South Korea government included neither has that so the slowest spread of nuclear so the main must affect some politics nuclear aggression caution they at least states too getting help to go yes willing to get back to federal impact evidence indicates themselves in launches multiple longitudinal threats like the environment and proliferation decentralization is not kill ACA it's key to innovation that the ACA is in a crossroads now only increase innovation solves we don't stop the ACA we make it better we don't stop the ACA we make it better they say no disease in fact there's new growing diseases we need to be able to respond to effects with new innovation because pandemics gets right cooking now tea
Quentin, you said there's no federal regulation for fracking coming out.
no federal regulation fracking coming now it's just a hypothetical and the states would our plan doesn't preclude it I gotta go yeah I gotta go T this is contrived their evidence it includes regulation which our plan does forcing specification of the plan is bad cause unbeatable place kills educates following time yes we did spec we said state experimentation we just did fiated legalization legal prohibition rules and our prohibition refers to positive form of legalization is removing legal prohibition illegal status best afflex ways that ground structure to ensure balance and reason based goods get up can be discussed race the bond waivers
Perm do both conditionized voter grace time and strategy to army responsibility. One conditionized solve to rap save no. Song to have never a piece of evidence here. You should procedurally disallow perm do the penalty situation rules pop from the CSA plan to say all penalty climate enforcing out the federal structure making parts of the waiver the federal government recognizes the set campus officials making or take takes actually not merely tolerable under federal law picture of what it seals the crushing ground diverse from topics of the education just all the industry movement must be bold and unambiguous. That's firestone cause confusion void enforcing counter federal service compliance state laws bring confusion with the second months of the first federal official will prove something beyond their expertise per view and outcomes are unclear. It's DOJ resources, even if waiver accepted essential policy work remain how to let those rules discretion was the problem with saying standard confidence or about convention special trajectory for training you speak of required pilot sale would justify verifications by admission less rates possible causes terrorism resources or some Hudson enforcing less national security as achievement to press law enforcement more resources on crime with other things that no trust the crime plan alongside the FBI any responsibility like terrorism account or touch on many finite resources.
No. Let's go on UN.
Perm do both, perm do every plan, perm to the plan every possible combination of counterplan. The UN says no role in non-cannabis amendment would be required. This convention renders the academic legal states power to be easily watching Sweden, Japan, and extra state initiatives not to the original move away from teams have the conventions are written in stone condition and perm to the counterplan plans commit to search. You should be desirable not raise 89 and child scripts like the answer should speak yourself. Not be spotted is desirable enough. It's not taxing about tax. It's best counterplans that compete on search are voting issue. They're infinite and possibly the negative avoid any solve step by tweaking the structure doesn't solve because there's a delay. Ottawa 70 UN meets discuss your problem to find a time. There's been some never shot you a strong leadership is ready more time luxury dining systems going good to be slow getting any change to the UN system was like walk through molasses signal must be set before 2015 to solve Ukraine robber and FISM and first connection for the win of opportunity is the logo election plan for fall 2015 will be probably like new local council mayors before changing their responsibility to be impossible implementary total consideration after the elections consult for change electoral quick implementation may facilitate escalation plan confidence in Kiev will demonstrate less reducing national will make this after integration easier you and that stabilization is coming down triggers the link Bennett Washington 14 Colorado Washington right there more states have to legalize the right U.S. interpretation can be questioned that and see maybe looking at the correct prevention states have to lose back Virginia injuries which can be one of the great the combination try with great competence state and international non-compliance now the plan resolves it through me in their team that federal local professionals Colorado Washington policies very unimportant consistency under by the year which the US perceive that the design of the federal government the legal plan subject to constitutional limitation the arguments question because only be valid for any purpose recognition for the non-sustainable so question plus your strong center reason to diminish the right to refer to the US Latin American Commission you were right though as reports in the contract the LACR and removing marijuana from the CSA sounds best widely, and there's more modern protecting class of federal governments to remove marijuana from the list of substances and enforcement could be focused on reducing our national legislation would free marijuana paying checks with governments of the US and capitalize removing marijuana from the list of substances change for international policy that are effective DC legalization thumbs Bennett at all intent. 17 voters last quarter to be voting this NCC will pass that Congress left the way in which would put every federal law with the voter right yesterday was going to raise the average another notch that will come for another direction to contention state or 77 DC government federal charter government we want to guard on creatures doing US treaty violation are now in a devil and chronic not compliant sugar selling copla and there's wise about the US treaty violation of the country admit the as a sure the CWC state pay their dues like persistent filing government treaties that jeopardizes law crime compliance selling reputation the US is too embarrassed with playing fast loose is not government the cause but will soon become unbearable big and powerful that super plan get away with these trans aggressions FCC or no wait sorry I gotta read and UN.com cost and 6 many people running comps you and intervening and unboxed the respect for 50 judges not protecting or deter for running committing the worst measures FCC. This is not a deer. There's zero reverse causal evidence that sustained Obama pushing PC or key to FCC classification. His announcement was enough to turn the tide that there will pass evidence. Evidence also only says that Obama is making an impact, not that he's swaying well. There like evidence about Obama rescheduling. No reason why he pushed the plan or gets blamed for it. And this and net neutrality won't pass. It's not something Dr. Schneider 11-2. The FCC converted to holdout voting until 2015. There will not be vote at December delay. Is a sign of fiction between FCC and the White House. Wheeler voiced concerns about Obama's speech and PC is not either linked evidence about PC with Congress. The plan, not that the plan's PC spills over the SEC and their independent agency, the journal, the left team, what's Obama doing nothing, but he can be sure to let the FCC as the independent body ruling came from the U.S. court and PC fails on net neutrality 9 and 11-13. Parliament mobilized one sure like PC Americans don't know what net neutrality is or understand the main polling. Shows variable support depending on how the question over the FCC enters more to Congress, which controls budget laws under which it operates on the president. There's no impact to FCC rulings reversed by Congress, the courts, NJ, and 11 day more two branches turn to crowd. Provides continue fighting Congress, the courts comes find some dead Republicans by here about to stop the scheme 6 by 9 Congress has never seen fast track on federal relations governments will be in a block of to repeal and then transport Republicans might get appropriation down, sure thinking of the rest of non-self legal searches and PC fails in multiple issues. Don Clark and Coomer Law for Obama supplies 2 years left. Dr. Simply go for it's all one possible taking for the companies by which they're stagnant companies like that. As his record victories evolve around America's budget is near the end. Obama leading for some Obama so it would have to let with Congress to Washington to Obama controlling outgoing president agree comes to everything accomplish nothing. This does not do the plan and do the plan and maintain net neutrality fiat sounds linked to no political effect. And They have no spoiler arms and collapsing tire in Negro Ponte 13 and was open screws. It is designed to evolve the ignorance, gain traction, fantastic space insurance form. The 125 individuals are upper that's going on at the end of the decade. And ACA is key to the economy. Newsmax and 14 for hopes sustainable facility. The economy can't afford the ACA cost. Will hurt the ACA growth. The economy then LCP is too big. Into business and premiums not increasing at triple digit rate. And something like Obamacare is constant economic contraction. Impacts being the cost of a host of unintended negative consequences or negative unintended consequences.
Okay. Why do cartels have an incentive to cooperate with Iran and Hezbollah, who have like religious reasons for?
So we kind of touched on this in cross-ex. Their goals are not the same, but they overlap in a substantial number of ways. Do cartels have an incentive to launch a nuclear terrorist attack against the U.S.? Maybe not. Do
and why would they allow Hezbollah to like launch that attack?
Because cartels don't like the U.S. enough that they're like, whoa, like this is morally wrong. But they do recognize that they have co-interest in creating instability, which infects the Mexican government, stealing oil from Pemex,
Like I
other
understand
forms
like
of
creating
kidnapping.
instability, but launching a nuclear attack.
Well, yeah, the cartels don't necessarily have to be the ones that are like, we're going to be the middleman between Iran and Hezbollah,
Right,
but they
that's
create the framework within Mexico to allow Hezbollah to cooperate with Iran. They also provide the tunnels to sneak into the U.S., which they use to smuggle marijuana in, and those can be used by.
That's fine.
Okay.
Why does the United States get drawn into a Russia war over Ukraine if we have not already?
Well, because it hasn't escalated into a broader conflict. Our argument
At
is
what point does it escalate?
our argument is that there was an attempt of somewhat secession. It started with Crimea, and now you see parts of eastern Ukraine to next that are moving towards secessionism. Russia's going to move in to protect those groups. Our argument is that the plan sends the signal while the new Ukrainian government is forming that if they are going to bring in these local ethnic Russian groups into a decentralized government and give them a real political voice as opposed to a federal government, it prevents their need from seceding, which means that the conflict as is doesn't break open.
That's fine. The wild card that you read on the single convention counter plan says removing marijuana from the CSA is best. This evidence says that the federal government should remove it and legalize because it would increase international relations in the context of like the war on drugs being bad. Where does that say that it increases treaty legitimacy?
It's not that it increases treaty legitimacy, but it's that if the U.S. were to unilaterally send a clear signal for legalizing marijuana, it'd be a step away from the war on drugs, and as opposed to collapsing the treaty structure, would result in a reform of the treaty structure.
That evidence does not talk about the treaty structure.
No, it's definitively about the treaty structure and says that things like the single convention would be reformed because other nations would get on board with the U.S. instead of being like, hey, you're violating this single convention. They'll be like, let's reform the single convention because what the U.S. is doing kind of makes a whole lot of sense. And it brings in, it brings credibility to the system.
On FCC, the Clark and Kumar evidence that you read, which you tag multiple issues, Thumb says like, Americans are scared about Ebola. Obama's heading to summit meetings. How do any of these make a claim about how they impact his political capital or his influence vis-a-vis the Republicans in Congress?
Well, I think one of the best parts of that you left out is it says that Obama's going to exile immigration, but it also says that Obama's spending his PC to get Ebola funding, which is another reason why he's lobbying Congress.
It says Obama will exile immigrants. That's all it says about immigration.
It's a laundry list thumper. It also says he's going to be pushing Congress on Ebola. It also says that he's going to be pushing Congress on ISIS.
Right, bro.
Talk about this.
No. I'm not presenting.
I've never been. It's in Vegas next year, so I'm gonna go then. It's like super cheap, right? Yeah. And Vegas.
So they say yeah, as you say, Arizona is probably furthest right of any state and would not be representative of the country.
And it just got struck down then. So it's just like it could happen, but it wouldn't last.
That's fine. That's not. Yeah, but it's why they're trying to. If you honest, that argument. It's not true. It's just 41 of these things.
Sure. That's good. Yeah. So. Ratified.
You would obviously know. Archie.
What you're saying is like a good thing.
Okay, yeah, stop prep.
Something.
Yeah, but we all make choices.
Actually, no, Archie, Archie, please let go.
I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave these bullshit.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So I sent my parents
Can you pull this up?
the link to
No.
this debate.
Please?
Wait, sure. But where did you
see that? How do we get
It's like over by the staircase. I think, or by the bathroom. So that staircase is to the right of it.
But it's cute that you thought to email them like that. That's nice. I bet they appreciate that, even if they don't understand anything that's actually happening in the debate.
I'm still running prep.
I'm sorry?
Stop at 7:29.
I-
Oh, no, not like I'm literally prepping, like, I just like never
Oh,
said my class.
I better get going.
And the two I left, but I was like, I gotta prep for the 1 hour.
I guess if everybody's doing it, I'm gonna be one of the cool kids.
Guys, be alone.
Millie? Hey, Millie.
Like-
Question mark.
like- Prep is over, but no one's in the room. So a little bit.
What's up?
No, I just.
Hey, Millie.
What's that?
Can you tell me a donut?
I don't think there are any more.
Are you
donuts.
sure?
Positive. I was just out there. Sorry.
Hey, any other snack would be appreciated.
Actually, before the,
I don't think it matters.
well, I mean, it like, does make a difference. But. So Steve, can you
Figure.
get to me?
I like never stop my timer. So when you're out of the room, I was like, oh, stay running trash.
I think we have 7.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it was just funny stuff. I was like, I don't know.
Have you ever done that before? Switch on with things today.
The order is going to be the single convention counterplan, the UN disad, the waivers counterplan, state experimentation, cartels,
Was it UNCP or DA first?
counterplan,
Great, one more time. Town plan, trees.
waiver counterplan, state experimentation advantage, cartels advantage. All ready?
same permutation due to the counterplay that's a competition, not efficacy. All these reasons are all the theory arguments are reason to reject the argument and not the team now. The UNBA, we're not going for the side. We'll concede that the United States is chronically not in compliance to that. The UN is capable of solving more, which means that there's no which means there's no risk of offense. How the waiver count, like additionality, first negative flexibility, the options, the focus of the debate, that we see an option to compensate for reaction and consistency regarding information processing multiple options for QAC efficiency, best answer to focus of the debate, increasing critical thinking, logic, proving the counterplan is bad. This is proof the plan is logic outweighs meaning, contain portable skill, meaningful ideological focus. The only way to read a game counterplan into the same debate, self community schism, skews are inevitability violations, case defense, they're all no risk. It's our job to generate comment files. They should have to defend opportunity costs. The other interpretation artificially inflates the after testing period or interpretations are necessarily arbitrary and self-serving. They move the goalpost to generate cheap wins deserved from substance. They say permutation do both. This evidence doesn't make a evidence doesn't make a competition argument. Just as it's a result of states agreeing to waiver with the conflict, as if the is to remove the CSA is to remove the CSA for that state or temporary CSA remove the conflict retains marijuana status in the law of grants limited waivers from compliant states is less than the plan because it keeps pot illegal in states that haven't legalized. Severance is illegitimate. Rex are grounded based on plan moving target. They're distinct and competitive options towards working Congress can bend the CSA to remove marijuana, provide waiver of marijuana legal. The counterplan doesn't change marijuana CSA status, only built in flexibility. Sacco 13 without altering marijuana position of the court to one offer might be to build flexibility into existing law to make her decision. And the CSA makes certain the CSA to make certain exceptions. They say that we need certainty. The reference does assume statutory exception, which is sufficient itself. Canon 12, Canon 14 Congress would authorize the AG to serve by the state regulating marijuana matter consistent with federal require the state's regulation where they the sole regulations govern the marijuana under the current approach. States are allowed to use marijuana. They're allowed lower forms of prosecutorial those selling marijuana. Pursuant to state law could be arrested and prosecuted without any change in federal law, even if the government keeps the proper updated for you. The states have enacted robust marijuana regulations that federal marijuana prohibition has profound effect in those states. It has a profound effect in those states. They say permutation. They say permutation to the counterplan. They say permutation to the counterplan. That's already answered by the separate targets. They're mutually exclusive strategy because they keep in because they remove the marijuana from the CSA and we keep it in, which makes it very easy. Which makes it very easy to separate target to say yes, group it. The counterplan is a game changer supported by legalization advocacy. Creates a perception of an impending fait accompli for legalization opponents which causes them to accept a tightly controlled market as the least bad option. Climate 14 there was a mutually beneficial deal with legalization of the slow growing states with legalization have to go through legislative part of the way legalization advocacy must be willing to accept the commercialization opponents legalization there too for my with the writing on the water side is highly regulated potentially reversible system legal availability is the least bad is the least bad option, and the counterplan is to provide the key test case, which means it provides uniqueness to any of our terms, even if the act doesn't necessarily link. This is Chris Cost and Wheelie Taylor 13. The CSA calls on federal government enter contractual agreement for regulatory activity. The federal government can come to agree with the individual state or the cannabis regulation policy would be preferable rather than allowing the state to release out of it, enforcing the federal prohibition on marijuana full attempt to put many of the sort of this situation involving state federal attention might be considered a lot of other concept allowing the state to destroy cannabis policy by result of the state demanding further independence with regard to other effective federal policies such as gun control, immigration, gun control, immigration, and healthcare. They say that they say that the plane doesn't nearly all doesn't matter. It's a question of the CSA being removed or not. They say the counterclaim equals confusion. I answered that above. It provide certainty by creating statutory exemption. They say the outcome is unclear. It isn't. We tell the states what they need to do. We set a floor on a ceiling. It tells 75% of the act. It goes 12. The reason the federal government lacks the resources and enforcement of previously, although commands $2 billion budget, the federal government is only 2 that play when it comes to marijuana. Force only 1% of marijuana cases generated every year by federal authority. Federal ban might be strict and penalties without wholehearted cooperative state law enforcement authorities. Its impact of high behavior may remain limited. They say that this causes terrorism. There's impact to this elsewhere, and their card is terrible. It just says that there's some kind of FBI trade-off, which is irrelevant. States. There's absolutely no modeling that cites world evidence is the best piece of evidence. It's the best part. It indicates that in the 729 new Constitution, none of them give a shit about what the United States says. Their card is terrible. It's more aspirational than anything else. And it indicates that the United States needs to provide like an aid package to Ukraine in order to get to the follow-on. And it doesn't say that. So yeah, that it doesn't matter about U.S. domestic policy. There's no modeling. Other countries think we're crazy. Black 12, we have developed a religious belief in America. Acceptable. We see ourselves as the model for democracy and the world of the country they belong. Stop doing so. The University of Minnesota Political Science and Civil said that this is again World War II. Much of the world comes to the conclusion that the U.S. system was pretty crazy. Fracking, the fracking debate. Now, also there's no war. To extend it to one NC evidence indicate that there are too many distant massive amounts of nuclear weapons checked into U.S. Deterrent capability. Now the fracking DA, the powers up, it's just better to give it credit for federal standards, heated consistency before states knew more nuance than a normal race of the bottom market because there's material profit motives that pay political pressure. Otherwise, will collapse fracking. Which means that their uniqueness card about oil is just a negative argument. Strong production is key to check Russian aggression. Guzman 14, the U.S. could use the natural reserve geopolitical weapon to stand up to Russian aggression. Could be the U.S. strength the U.S. gas could be a force to be reckoned with. U.S. gas could be a force shaping the new gas order that can generate more effective than liberalized market cutting edge. John Russ's dominant position. Europe will rely on gas supply by the U.S. creating competition for 2016 onward after the first U.S. export facility becomes operational. Gas serves to back up the density supply side to the U.S. will influence shaping the gas order to improve global energy security. The U.S. move may lead to the disarmament
Department of Energy boards and its cooperative federalism is key to effective environmental regulations for fracking, resolves extinction from water pollution, term intense shale activity destroying ecosystems, global ecological crisis, and will make the earth happen water essential for life, also to the fact that now water despite increasing damage and irreversible ecological damage efforts appear to be embarrassed in this new resource exploitation. They can see that they can see the entirety of the impact of AR because it makes a running proliferation and it's really striking inevitability causes nuclear element 11 for nuclear reactor trigger release to Algeria, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi have initiated nuclear program. The Saudi government might be able to accelerate by exploiting test pack the FDA with target packs and weapons. The Saudi Arabia with nuclear reactor decisions seek out nuclear weapon be highly stabilizing and releasing the difference based on the cold action among three more major powers could be power-based calculation, escalation, multiple system coalition get shift quickly given proximity. Nuclear powers might launch on board low-level commanders and intention escalation without the early warning leadership would be retaliated against one party triggering a nuclear war. This they don't contest any of the cooperative federalism internal link arguments. The fact that they can exist at the same time is irrelevant. Fracking is too fast for the states to regulate. It needs to have some kind of federal involvement. They preclude Burger 13 fracking. It's rapidly entitled the world to higher risk of pollution limiting planning to the states to get into the number of fracking operators and the fact that shale places are located to the state borders makes little sense. Nothing about this national legislation, national gas, and the federalization of fracking is appropriate. The federal up to the cost rate included by federal regulation would outweigh the benefit typical argument by industry insiders run counter to the FNP local official leaders accepted to put a stop to fracking in their communities before it even begins. The immigration debate, their internal links are ludicrous, and they can see their internal links are ludicrous. Obviously, Republican states are going to pass the liberal restrictions they want to. It's dependent on it's dependent on the federal government actually granting them the waivers anyway. The new GOP will pass comprehensive integration reform, which solves all their internal links, but means their silver. So the term House 910. Many Republicans wanted if they have to do something between 2016 to convert their studies and put the Republican in charge of the Senate. Could immediately come to work setting up with the AMD first plan that would have just enough conservative features, same types of the party anti-amnesty to near the instant legalization. Democrats on debate without the voters of the founders of McConnell, they could be susceptible to pre-2016 legalization charges of less so then because the GOP could claim less impact with Hispanics attend the Edelman Avenue, which explains the impact proliferation, makes domino effect, and makes domino effect inevitability causes extinction. Their wealth evidence is responsive to chronic, which indicates that even if it does have some broader stabilizing effect, miscalculation, theft, and unauthorized use are all likely science diplomacy, focusing on science diplomacy, inevitably diverse attention for political and economic realities that affect policies. Copenhagen and Sesame Fruit scientists come up as patronizing, which has two implications. Science diplomacy can't affect it. Meaningful, successful changes in scientific insights will be devalued and thus won't be used when it can be helpful in climate debate, turning all the absent impacts and errors, which is the Dickinson evidence. They don't answer burnout. Because diseases kind of spread quickly enough to kill everybody will not. Have absolutely no possibility causing extinction. For exactly that reason, also the grind of destroying the ACA, not being able to say that their internal link evidence is about the Supreme Court ruling should be sufficient to outweigh the act. Now cartels. No nuclear terrorism except the Bergen numbers. There's absolutely no way for them to be able to get a freedom of action. Doesn't account for the ability of the actual availability of nuclear weapons. Simply doesn't exist. Odds are 1 in 3 billion. Mueller 10 terrorist groups seem to escape it. Only limited desire to be less partisan. Going to top of possible route would be manufacturer requiring serious imperial burdens. Because the theft is unlikely because the cars corruption center required terrorists pay off Confederates. Anyone who terrorist places they would have to transport long distance crossing international borders. Following it's actually published. They're also under the watch of criminal regulators. Stop at the word criminal as they stopped at the word criminal regulators. It's not a diversification argument. Rather, it's a question about the splintering of cartels. These are criminals. They don't just go get regular jobs. They instead create smaller, more violent cartels groups, which is the impact that they can see. Those new cartels are more likely to align with terrorist group Shirley 5, really the large established crime organization linked with cartels with new transnational crime use right in a state of chaos and ongoing conflict. New crime groups are forging alliances with terrorist organizations because the crime groups now possess long-term financial strategies, means that to the degree that they're able to solve their internal link, they link more to the impact. It's not a question of diversification. All their internal link defense is irrelevant. Cooperation, it won't happen. There is absolutely zero ideological coherence. Yes, they're both anti-American, but one of them wants to install Sharia law, the other one just wants to make a quick buck. There's absolutely no connection between cartels and terrorism. Keating 826 period suggests there's a real possibility terrorist groups are entering illegally via Mexico. The Pentagon confirms nuclear references is happening. The claim that this is a major problem of ridiculous. Their claims appear to be based on nothing. We do know that no actual Mexican gangs were involved by Rebel's contract was under DEA agent. The DEA also set up a vote involving a dude between the alleged member of Al Qaeda and FARC, despite the fact that there were never any narco terrorists involved in the DEA agents has set the entire thing up themselves. They say U.S.-Russia war, but obviously it's dependent on all of the other internal arguments we've made.
Are the waivers that the counterplan provides revocable if the states violate the terms of the waiver?
I guess
yes or no.
We set a floor for how much. Well, they wouldn't. If they're going to violate it, they wouldn't get the waiver to begin with. So
that's why. Let's say they set up a framework and then they violate. They're just like, we're going to flip our regs. We don't want to follow this anymore. Do they lose their waiver?
Yes.
Okay. Who determines whether or not states are continuing to be in compliance?
Congress, I guess.
Okay, Congress. Like McCain is like going to states and looking at it. I think you mean. I think you mean the DEA.
It's like a federal.
What is a state-run store?
Huh?
What are the definitions of a state-run store?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a store run by the state.
Really? So a state-run store means that a state literally just fund its own marijuana grow up.
Well, it
There's
doesn't-
zero-
it
there's
doesn't-
zero. Can there be any private investment?
Well, it doesn't grow it itself.
Can't-
There's private
Okay,
growers,
so
but
there
they
can be-
operate the sale.
So there can
So
be
there are no
private
private
growers,
sellers,
but the states have to sell it.
Mhm.
Okay. And there's no. Can there be like mass production?
Yes.
Okay. And all right, that's fine. You've read a piece of quick evidence that the plan, and we've read it too, that the plan spills over to immigration and healthcare. Why does the plan spill over to fracking regulations?
Well, two arguments. Number one is we've made a claim about the precedent that the counterplan sets towards cooperative federalism. Number two is I just think that you're mischaracterizing the power evidence. It's actually pretty decent about how the arrangement of federal power is what determines who gets to regulate environmental issues. You see these disputes happening all the time in the context of the ESA, the CAA, the EPA, like any three-letter acronym.
What regulations would the states implement that would be bad for fracking?
Well, the states create a race to the bottom wherein they just like want to make as much money as possible without really caring about the environment because they're competing with one another, which is why we need a federal standard.
Okay, and what card do you have that discusses interjurisdictional competition?
The power evidence from the 1NC, I think
Power?
is pretty good. As well as the burger evidence from the 2NC.
Okay, cool. And why does Iran cause war?
It results in miscalculation, it results in
With
a
a
domino effect, and it results in Israeli strike.
Domino effect? Okay. And you read the Israeli strike impact?
The 1NC Ross card makes an Israeli strike claim.
Yeah, but did you read the terminal impact?
That is a terminal impact. It says that there would be a massive war between between Israel and a nuclear Iran.
And suddenly that just means nuclear war without you having read the
I mean,
terminal
it's a
impact.
war between two nuclear states, and it's, I believe the Ross card does talk about an escalatory scenario.
Yeah, right, sure. Okay. When will the GOP pass immigration?
Our Ev says after the midterm, so like probably soon after they're sworn in. They have massive electoral
Soon?
incentives to do so
Really?
because they think
Like
without
really,
winning,
like really soon?
What?
Like really soon?
I mean like probably early in the next congressional session.
Oh, okay, cool. When did you see that?
Let me politics with an overview. I have those, do you know?
Okay, sure.
I don't think I like the music thing. Doesn't give me a sense of what time it's about.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever do that. It's weird.
That might make me focus better, but you all have it?
It's just politics.
Consider the impact cause of proliferation that was impacted by the chronic evidence on cancer causes extinction. It says the collapse of trade leads to protectionism, was caused multiple serious respiratory work cancer. Protection of the most probably the trigger to protect from the contamination to lead the health material or serious economic protection control and devastating global disaster, the rapid protections of global reality, dangerous competition of oil, gas, food security, and water to the environmental and natural conditions of health, his and sensitive products, including military and counter-propaganda, military propaganda, potential for essential way channeling the popular center to the other to the zero scope of the frequency, the horrifying text by bringing pride, the random island to a whole new level turns case turn to Ukraine weakens foreign policy can't engage with other players who are competitors and the leadership is failing. That's the one is the evidence for our tells can change other parts of the course because our foreign policy and domestic policy become ineffective. No resources which is their war about how we need to switch to shift turns terrorism economic climate war the deepening financial crisis, the weak the federal government, the outer the responsibility, the security threat, the American zero time from the protections, financial crisis, the threat, the emerging nations have the effect be an restriction editorial is head of federal reporting to allow the internet to identify the tribal consumers left their targeted campaigns and the world listens to the internet and prevent the law enforcement collecting valuable intelligence not the line by line. The top of the 2AC is just a bunch of analytics, so I'll try my best to explain the disadvantage here. Yes, reverse causal Obama needs to maintain strength base of view. Republicans with the Congress and status quo plans have the ability to drag him into a huge fight with social conservatives. Republicans are looking for a way to turn public sentiment against him in the status quo and away from net neutrality bolsters the link of Obama can maintain strength and privacy political cover for Wheeler for him to go ahead with a decision that's unpopular with Republicans. Only strength gives Wheeler the political cover for this to assures Wheeler that Obama won't let the GOP cut funding for the FCC, etc. That's substantiated on the political capital debate below. He says that our link is about rescheduling. That'll be answered on the link debate. He says that it'll be slow. PC speeds will pass a long reader. 11:10. Obama issued a statement that thinks that the FCC reclassified the internet to get Obama's Republicans may help deliver a decision as early as December. That would be a fast commission on the board. The FCC reports a civil majority leaders consistently beg to acknowledge the confidential and neutrality debate is a straightforward issue. He says no spillover into the FCC debate. Plan directs Obama to a massively unpopular debate over marijuana liberalization. The link is about him looking weak vis-a-vis the Republicans. So when the pan drives him into an incredibly unpopular fight with the Republicans, then he obviously looks weak. Also detracts from his focus on the status quo legalization towards emancipate the link weights and insurance climate. 11, even though the record proposed the available in the alcohol model that he said tax the regulation is powerful enough to the drug to recreate the import and even totally drug legalization were a good idea. It would be politically infeasible as a real political sport in the U.S. He says PC feels now the first, or at least that's what the first half of this card says. PC is effectively the status quo, reject their GR evidence about the GOP Congress. Obama is lobbying hard for it and will force the FCC to follow along. Now is key. The FCC is releasing new rules on December 11. That's the Haddam evidence. Democratic Commission members are key. Two are already on board. Obama just needs to get Wheeler. Prefer our evidence. It's predictive of how Obama's political capital or influence the fight, while theirs are just snapshots of the status quo. Obama's push is the game changer. It simultaneously takes up immense pressure for reform while neutralizing opposition, giving Wheeler crucial political cover. This also answers their argument about the court. They gave an explicit carve out for Title II robbers. 11:10, the White House on the Capitol will the FCC that the full-blown person to travel the Obama told the agency to reclassify the providers who still finish using the public champagne bottle, even though Obama has given the Wheeler an unexpected mandate. The telecom industry can do all it wants to stop this. They really made it clear to the FCC or the open internet order was such that the FCC has the important life virus and gave the input the rules will be classified by internet providers under Title II. You have to support from the White House, and Wheeler had a little reach in the while. Powerful players from the Wheeler was trying to appease the net neutrality with the lip service while passing light touch rules of observance, political capital, police calculation, all the linear Obama is just to get by offering Wheeler proud political to go under the floor with net neutrality faces powerful new opposition. They haven't read any specific cards on the internal link, which should frame your decision about their generic evidence. Issue specific uniqueness should outweigh. Second half of this evidence says that there are multiple issues. Some issue specific uniqueness proves the PC is key and effective on the FCC and the status quo. Even if other things could derail the status quo, proves that they will. You should have a very high threshold for these other issues, saying that Obama will be pulled in, that they have during the lame time, nor that they will be controversial. That should be the threshold. They have to make all three planks of that. Don't allow one year to read a ton of new evidence on these. Justifies a 3-line card that says everything that's been said might happen without impacting all of them, and then sandbagging the 2NR makes a blocks life hell. Have to read a card to every little thing that the 2AC didn't make a complete argument on. Cross experts that they think immigration is the best one, so I'll answer public support. Deflates GOP backlash now. Kim Brown. 11:14. An internal debate of the Obama executive order breach from the immigration advocates in the fight because they don't know the president's been to the Republican be able to divide an official so that they were controlled by Republican backlash that included the vote one from Washington, the positive response to Obama's landmark. They support the conclusion the Obama can't hold the back and sphere of the actions or receive. They say not intrinsic. The judge made policy analyst most realistic considering they can't create a managed change to the judge to be a policymaker is more logical. There is no issue that can pretend to be all three periods of the naturally possible to pass free. They don't get to bypass the political ramification of the plan politics as a real world that change on the part of the politics DA. The link versus an opportunity cost the plan bargaining chips are limited than real world B destroys negative ground. They use logical policy making to plan to solve any disadvantage or solvency. They say if you have also link. This wasn't an argument. You can't say just 3 words and make it an argument. Still links and maybe passage will make Congress say that they got a plan shut down the fuels and links as 2 is that they don't get fiat based on political ramifications of the plan that was above. They say that it doesn't cost all the internet, but the lack of neutrality cards of the internet. This is their defense card is not our impact, but it uniquely causes wars. 14, they really managed to recover before the internet. The power line quickly comes to challenge the internet nationally created the friction. The digital borders are often cost of everything doing everything. The nation will begin to divert the economic scale, disappear. We disconnect the national symbol like we grow. We have high friction world, which conflict growing fast as Justice Smith Hawley was a self-destructive act of fragmentation. The internet was driven by the desire for the national control to accelerate the end of the second line of globalization. They say ACH to the economy that was on case, but you can't resolve our internally massively ways. 4% of the GDP. That's where our internal income says. 935. Or you just like it time.
Yeah, like I thought you were gonna have like another couple of seconds, like another.
Yeah, maybe it's just like really long.
Yeah, or it's just probably
It's like really long. Okay, how much also are you say?
we ever have a piece of corporate defense that was probably
Was it Walt?
yeah.
Oh, you read Walt?
I read along.
Oh.
That's the reason why I read it on.
Oh, you read it on immigration, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What? Awful. Did you? I'm just gonna read that one.
Okay, that's more. Yeah, so
Okay.
You good? Yeah.
What do you mean by?
Sorry. Just on this.
Okay, sorry, how much y'all have left?
525.
Great.
Yeah.
Really cartels, how they get it. Cartels, state experimentation, the later CE, the internet cassette.
Cartels, state experimentation, counter plan, FCC. Is that what you said?
Yeah. good? Good. Trying for the affirmative, conceived born evidence of nuclear terrorism, cause U.S. destruction, nuclear weapons, calculation, accident, access to another defense, assume another defense, yes, there's cooperation, there's an overlap of interest, both one, including there's there's obviously financial self-cartel creates a framework for maximum destruction, increases even the tunnels of smuggling, the U.S. keeping evidence about ISIS and Al-Qaeda has a low job, your defense obviously doesn't assume Iran sponsoring, has building nuclear evidence, it doesn't assume state terrorism and getting, and which is in the version, every version, every argument is wrong, the plan, solve their splintering, the touch of the plan, only to use their amount of money to do with weapons and influence, so they can see the plan increases overall money for law enforcement and state legalization, triggers like between this right after from the state experimentation, the Ukraine, their evidence about constitutional and non-federalism, the black evidence not about Ukraine, our evidence is specific, there's aid now factually, which means it's only a question of whether or not we have actions to match up with our rhetoric to spur Ukraine towards decentralization, which is the gist of evidence, yes, where their evidence is assumed their current Ukraine, Russia, the Ukraine crisis, Russia just indicated their impact evidence is 24 indicates that it causes full nuclear conflict, and the other evidence is conceded indicates that decentralization causes the best models, increasing race to the top, increasing race to the top, absent federal regulations, which inevitably feel regional cooperation is inevitable because states model best practices regionally, which means there's no impact to the fracking, the fracking urban. There's zero link to zero after the fracking. They consider the record evidence only is about immigration. Immigration in the ACA, they have zero evidence, which indicates the plan creates a broader framework for decentralization that spills over into fracking. All these doesn't turn the rest of their evidence is that exports are key. There's no evidence that would happen. There's no uniqueness because it requires federal legislation to coming down the ecosystem market. We see out there evidence in the case of the economy that assaults the environment, more evidence out there, and to just have one models just in the corner, just in cover takes very serious and long run goals from girls doing issue geographical that is going to relationship from Washington to local knowledge that increases solutions also innovation and solution this is for innovation market policy or to grow habits for trade opportunities for experimentation those last thing for central the right from centralized spirit of policy offers necessarily the more variable training companies to go to come to policy and national legislation concerns of policy areas local business compete against social parties policy those also representation policy policy jobs in accordance with local needs and design and desires the around argument the wall evidence takes out the impact as it was explained across the adopted theory of wall evidence indicates that proliferation is slow, it stabilizes empirically the impact is improved, which also takes up the impact to the immigration to the immigration argument. The immigration argument there's no impact to Israel, so terminal impact now. Middle East war impact in some of the order of consider the world Middle East conversation massive political solution started orange geared regime practice little capability for sending troops the immigration argument makes yours, and makes yours, and so answer by other arguments 49 states would adopt other policies that are not most conservative only between there's no clear signal the GOP pass immigration argument definitely something to just doesn't take out the signal of the plan or solve science policy which is necessary to foster cooperation and which is necessary to foster cooperation and cooperation good with the rabbits just in case we can't cooperate on issues of science which is not the impact we issue cooperate on things like disease except for the ACA is key to solve disease no burnout cause extinction girdle enable them to grow the path and try to close in the close expression and the options for wrong viruses little transmissibility of viruses will apply the risk of our from the ACA is inevitable and it's just a question of whether or not states can invade within the framework that currently set up the waivers from plan 0% of the affordable permutation you both was conceded it obviously means the government is sufficient to still the entirety of all the terms of all the terms because the last states that because with grand state decentralization we would just do the waivers with a requirement for or we would just do the after the requirement for the state's permutation to the government obviously should be the permutation to the government we're nearly all we don't have to remove the entirety of the CC what happens in case of the government causes uncertainty and confusion doesn't solve industry growth you should have a high threshold and be useful to use required for business investors will be full and the federal land gates colony conference which is the virus of this waiver the criteria are subjective unclear industry will feel rollback even if it never occurs state renters are vague revocability standards are unknowable federal control creates mistrust or uncertainty in 3.2 will be a threat duration with the same degree of digital that wasted next political position doesn't provide legal protection tailor and not suggestion to legal fight the neighborhood spot legal spots are recognized by the court and enforcement of action doesn't solve being solved and 40 business motivations so with long-term prosecution nor results law enforcement companies service diversity will be two transactions of the DUG argument was mostly considered the plan it takes away DUG would have to check whether or not states are complying which is asked resources makes it impossible to solve terror it makes it possible to solve terrorism the net neutrality the internet is obviously brutally evidence to consider it's overall self-correcting open and will not only be through the ACA solves the economy makes the decline and even if it doesn't it makes the decline inevitably this argument was not answered well in the one you shall have no need to in our arguments we've internally looked for the DA or at least make it impossible there's no impact to protectionism I can won't happen I consider 2009 with the given such growth present international touching field services and local members most capital reserves by the official trade but the strong men to go into trade conventions to use himself the congruent the internet these causes war and is based on complete internet collapse which obviously would have to turn Ukraine they only look to decentralization it obviously doesn't serve cartels this only question of whether their revenue economic plan doesn't and their last two arguments about the economic plan turning terrorism or not about low status or as well, but they're about Al-Qaeda now. The FCC argument is not at the top of the docket. It won't pass. This is factual. Question: the FCC pushed off its net neutrality vote because of freedom of opposite. That's such Schneider evidence. You cite the FCC secretary from the speaker of the first come first and makes PC laws. Now, with the reader of FCC will, it's a factual argument. It won't pass. We doesn't support the PC. Doesn't matter. Fun. The little some already came to office. Something will support the working commission. There's pregnant the chairman, chief engineer, because I'm able to actually get match up strong lawsuit achieving. Will start the guess which is fully released him to walk the FCC's independent agency. Wheeler won't follow on PC. Doesn't sway him down. And look for 7 more countries. Read those asserting his independence from the president. If I can go on, we wants to take a hybrid approach. We want to say it's frustrated. Wheeler repeatedly pointed out, I'm an independent agency. The immigration top of the clerk evidence says Obama will exit immigration with a GOP cooperation if possible. Sorry, our evidence is good and your dissent such scam. Evidence that the reader responses about the China war media, not immigration attempts. The entirety of the event and the recommendation for using from the world student afterward and raise Republicans who support any action on immigration would spoil cooperation. Fight the person to sign of backing down the now PC is not key. It fails the makes no sense. Or like it's about Obama's PC with the FCC, which is a stick from Congress denied evidence answers. They're bully publicly public net neutrality is obscure. The public doesn't understand or care about it. The FCC answers more to Congress than the president. The regards on PC are good, but you don't connect the dots. PC to doing is key. So.
7:25.
out of pocket, so let me know.
Keep it close for now, because I'm gonna have to do something else before it. Yeah, I'm sure.
Keep it close.
Well, really, I'm gonna keep it close. But I want to let you know. No, sorry.
Close it.
Yeah. If I have you do something else to a different doc, I'm just gonna leave this in now.
You want more of that? I really think that that's based on.
Yeah, this isn't an back doc, I can do that. This is just that's fine. As long as it's compared to just the average. It's fine. Just like that.
It's time. Yeah. There's just one card that I'm emailing out. Okay, the order is going to be the. I guess we'll start with the politics dissad, then the state experimentation page, the waivers, counterclaim, and cartels.
So, yeah, experimentation, waivers.
State experimentation waivers cartel.
Everyone ready? Okay. Politics didn't see that he doesn't have any capital now means that economic collapse is inevitable. Can't get the FCC to be able to protect it. Means that means the net neutrality claims means the net neutrality claims happen. They can't solve any other AC. They can't solve any other AC internally. We also can see that immigration is going to happen now, which provides uniqueness to our turn. It also means that the status quo is likely to be able to solve visas because that's the most popular part of immigration reform, which everyone knows now. The states issue. Look, it's kind of ridiculous that this stuff is all conceptual when they want it to be, but otherwise you need a very specific card. I think our powers evidence is about as specific as any of their in terms of what it conceptually needs to be. They've also conceived the argument that the counterclaim provides uniqueness to the DA because it provides an incentive, because it provides a precedent of cooperative federalism, which should be sufficient to be able to resolve any of their impacts deterrence. Even if true. Sorry. Okay. Deterrence checks the escalation of a Russia scenario. Even the Russia scenario, the U.S. and Russia have the two largest nuclear arsenals on the planet. Means they're never willing to go to war with each other. The black evidence indicates that no one is ever willing to model the United States. We have an absolutely insane constitutional system in a world perspective. The Scheitz evidence from the 1NC indicates that in a study of 729 constitutional democracies, absolutely none of them modeled the United States. Their says that Ukraine wants money from us and that we should attach a plan. They don't have a card that takes the extra step and says that plan would be in any way modeled after marijuana. And the line that they keep referencing that says that domestic follow through is key just simply does not exist. exist in the context of their evidence. Even if you think this is all great, you can see the Turns case argument that exports in the status quo to Russia or the exports in the status quo to Russia are sufficient to be able to solve any of this, because it means that Russia is no longer able to act in an aggressive manner because they don't have any leverage over other countries. It means there's no risk of their mission creep argument, creep arguments which happening in the status quo regardless of any of the fracking debate. Now the fracking debate broadly, there is a conceded Israel strikes impact, which is at least a tiebreaker. Even if you don't think it escalates to go nuclear, it certainly causes a war between Israel and Iran, which is likely a bad thing and kills a lot of people. No race to the top. It doesn't assume profit motive. But reading this Adler card also proves that they look to the fracking dissent. States suck at regulating fracking specifically, even if they can do other environmental stuff. Well, plays are across borders and it happens too fast. There are no resources to do it, which is why federal regulations are critical, which is the power evidence as well as the Guzman evidence. Exports are happening now. This is just a random analytic. Walt is in defense of the Edelman. First is Edelman is talking about the Middle East, which is a distinct scenario because there's sectarian tensions between Sunni Shias, and there's the pressure issued by ISIS, which means that all this is more likely to cause a domino effect than their super generic theory of how proliferation works. Second is the Israel strike scenario makes it more. Second is the Israel strike scenario makes it more likely. Third is I listed a bunch of other ways that these scenarios can happen. Number one is it's the only means of actually ever getting a nuclear weapon, which they have already said is likely to cause extinction. Number two is inappropriate use by commanders. Number three is miscalculation, all of which are likely to go nuclear and are not answered by the Walt evidence, which is just baby's first IR theory. Now immigration, CIR is happening now. It solves visas, means there's only a risk that the status quo solves the Krauss evidence. In case the GOP needs CIR, it has massive electoral incentives to pass it. There's a faux coherence to set to the affirmative, because all the states doing whatever they want in the context of immigration makes it impossible for Congress and the president to seem like a coherent actor on the world stage. The impact of this is nuclear proliferation. We don't have any credibility because we are not acting with a single voice internationally. The ACA, if it seems like I undercovered this, is because the 1AC did too. Remember when they literally marked every card in this part of the advantage collapse of the economy is never reached. There's no impact to this. The burnout card is brand new and the 1AR confirmed. The analysis and the 2NC indicate that this just simply cannot cause extinction, because if it spreads too quickly enough that it'll kill people before it's actually able to spread to anyone, before it's actually able to spread into anyone else. The link argument is just factually true. Most of the states are controlled by Republican legislatures and governors after the last election. Do you really think that they're just going to reform healthcare, or are they going to get rid of it? Because that's what the Republican Party has been running on for the last 4 years of the electoral cycle. Yeah, that's fine. Waivers. First of all, if they win the permutation, you can't kick it for me. I think that we're winning sufficient case defense in order to be able to go for this next. They do not get next, even if you think the counter plan is worse than the affirmed. They are not. It is still sufficient to solve their internal links. They don't get to. People don't get to compare the plan and the counter plan. They just get to compare the counter plan and the status quo. The climate evidence indicates they'll be ecstatic about the counter plan because it is the least bad option and is seen as something as a major improvement over what people are doing now. The Kingdom evidence indicates that they don't assume the new statutory requirements. We fiat that there are restrictions based off of advertisements and who can own the refineries, etc. The Mikos evidence sets a literal literal numeric threshold says there's a 99% chance of solvency because the federal government doesn't have the resources to crack down, and growers and sellers know that the permutation, the plan text says they remove prohibitions from the CSA. The counter plan does not do that, which means they are necessarily severance because we still maintain prohibitions in the CSA. That makes them a moving target, which is a bad thing. In addition, we're impact turning the entirety of the strategy, which means that worse it links and they would cancel the app. Local matters way more than federal policy. Nico's 12 state laws give more accurate information about local norms is important because norms held by local society and their primary influence on one's behavior than norms held by districts. They cannot public shield the public and federal legal sanction and change federal law in the short term stakes to make people feel secure from social sanction by credibly signaling public and rural ones. Have the context jury may be unwilling to convict people who use marijuana, getting the federal government's limited enforcement resources comparatively weak influence over personal preferences. Many say this are not dissuaded from using marijuana by the existence of the federal ban. They say thanks, that's answered above. It's a question of certainty. They say there's a trade-off. This card is terrible, and I'm going to extend nuclear terrorism defense on cartels right now. The Bergen evidence indicates that there's no possible effort to get them. No one will sell it. The states have no incentive. No states have no incentive to buy the nuclear evidence indicates the equivalent likelihood of use is about 1 in 3 billion. You can't get it across borders. You can't get it across borders. You can't involve other scientists, or else they will lie, or else they'll likely tattle on you. Which means there's absolutely no scenario where this is likely to happen. There is no way that anyone will ever cooperate. That any cartel will ever cooperate with the terrorist group. The Longmire evidence and the co-evidence from the 1NC and 2NC both indicate that they are afraid of the United States backlash if they cooperate with Islamists because of the blowback from the war on terror. Diversionary arguments do not assume splintering. The argument that splintering is happening in the status quo is irrelevant because the uniqueness is a cult in this scenario. They make it worse, which our held out evidence is pretty good on. They can see the taffy evidence indicates that these smaller groups are more likely to cooperate because they don't have the massive amounts of money that the Zetas have.
what we would need to do is continue to and what did you tell me about that?
They're internal link to Russia that says that LNG exports are illegal. Yeah. Right. So I'm not-
My prep didn't start. What are we at?
355. Oh, 4.
Well, I was,
Now it's 3:55. All right.
You're going to the back there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's one place. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
What was your Okay.
Like,
Y'all are the panel, right?
Sorry?
Okay.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
The order is politics, industry, experimentation.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oops, they spotlight say state success is key to the economy. Their only interest economic collapse to Neville because of internet regulation. They dropped the one argument that the internet is resilient. There's no reason why net neutrality collapses. The internet just increases regulation. It's always going to exist. There's no internal link to the economy for network collapse. Only we access network collapse because ACA regenerates the economy. It's key to lower overall healthcare costs. Implements every aspect of the economy that all conceded that they've read the econ impact force. The headlines indicates that it causes U.S. power decrease with other countries. Last shot causes massive nuclear wars, but they see the conflict strategically solved. Relative teams that has recognized the readiness where they have no relative teams against econ because it's there. Impacts a clean kill charge that because the economy is collapsing now.
Industry. I'm not going for it. We'll concede that there's no nuclear terrorism. Experimentation.
We'll concede the Russian war defense because they don't access their case turn based on being able to deter Russia is impossible. Also concede the GOP's going to be passive immigration because they don't access their turn. They're either now now I'm going to jump to our ability to solve for the ACC argument is not that decentralization replaced the ACA but makes it effective or massive. I'm saying case that right now there's a federal lead role in ACA but that's undermining innovation. There's undermining innovation. Miller I'm saying case that state can experiment within the framework of the ACA which increases innovation means it lowers over healthcare costs lowering. Healthcare costs means we have a better internal link to solving. Means we have a better internal link to solving disease cause sanctions to only non-nuclear war impact. You should prefer to work with the tiebreaker between ignorance and tyranny, so they have no way to turn our disease impact there. Only disease defense is too old, has zero qualification. Only warrant is burnout, which is entered by Kahn and Gutel evidence, which are more recent written health and science professionals there. MSU Tasco strains with new virus strain mutation or never tweets is try or die for that. There's no reason why lethality, transmittability, or mutually exclusive transmission can be slow to allow spread, but still is lethal over time. Even doesn't concentration, it definitely kills future research for high probability over magnitude. Now it is high probability over magnitude.
But now the fracking environment stuff.
They're definitely behind in the decentralization environmental regulation questioner. Adler answer on point first, and yes, it causes race to the top, not race to the bottom. They haven't answered our evidence that industries will leave if there's not a good environment or infrastructure to Sasko empirically disprove state race to the bottom. It's not what their evidence is talking about anyway. Second is local interest and variance. It solves race to the bottom because states are more careful about their own environment. The federal government doesn't care if their broad policy causes certain environmental degradation because it doesn't broadly eliminate that. But state legislators are more closely connected to specific environmental problems because they have smaller constituencies. You see, they're more likely to craft policies that tend to the environment and tend to the environment. There are people being employed by fracking that state regulators are more likely to ensure regulations that allow for fracking to occur. There's at least a better policy making. There's no one fracking regulation that tells all of geography. It tells all of geography of the U.S. because there's massive variance. Which another word that they haven't answered. The U.S. is too diverse. Also, third is that the states model the most effective policy, which even if a policy fails in the short term, which you model the best policy for is that it gets rid of the bad policies itself, correcting. Even if they're right that in the short term, say experimentation is worse for regulations, states will eventually learn that the regulations they have adopted fail. They will look to other states who have crafted effective regulation will adopt those technologies are more likely to solve fracking. At least it solves in the medium. At least it solves in the medium term. 5 is that federal policy fails, which is the part of the evidence that they have no game on. They only have decentralization bad, but no reason why the federal don't be effective. A is the knowledge problem. They don't know the local areas best. and the uniform regulations are insufficient, which is what they can see to be is no accountability. They can't effectively monitor compliance because they don't have the same incentive as states to do that. They don't have the same incentive as states to do that kind of enforcement of powers. The powers that they reconcede that the state and local regulators would have more time and more resources to focus on refined strategies best suited to their historic experience, which proves that state heritage is best. The warrant in this evidence that says that states bad is that they don't have the resources to enforce. But I answer that about they have better resources. They have no evidence that the federal government would have the knowledge and resources to be able to enforce the burger evidence they read just says that some states are any fracking relation. Not that broadly occurs, states would realize that there are better ways to do it now. The Israel strikes impact is literally non-existent. The Ross evidence does not make a terminal impact claim. There's no escalation warning. The 2 and there's no argument other than it'd be bad. You should obviously prefer our impacts, which are backed up by experts. If you think there's an impact, they've conceded the Chaki evidence from the 1 AR, which also answers they have run prolific impact. Every Middle East country is unlikely to go to war. Their conventional army suck leaders are focused on self-preservation, domestic political stability, which makes the cause of war too hot because they could lose. Applies more so to nuclear conflicts. We have prolific because those can go sour quickly now. The Iran prolific 2 and C Crossix said the impact was based on the domino effect or wall avatars, and the 1 is he not answered any point in the block says that won't happen. Prolific induces greater caution. Weak states will be defensive. The impact empirically not. The impact is slow, which creates predictability. Answers miscal command, which answers miscal command and control. Answers commanders, and that arc is empirically not by weaker states than Iran. Proliferation like Pakistan, which has a history of military coup. Their evidence as aberration in terms of warrants and doesn't apply them to Iran, which means our general political defense obviously applies their best angle here is that our Waltz evidence is specific to Iran political. They describe the Middle East as being different, but our Waltz evidence speaks to a theory of domino proliferation, which they are factually wrong on. Their evidence just says that a world in which there was a domino effect would be bad in the Middle East, but they have no evidence that would occur. If they do, Iran evidence is better. Our Waltz evidence is better, and worse is better applied than how they've done. If it's a question of you as foreign policy credibility than passing immigration obviously solves, which is there. Urban economic collapse triggers credibility failure, which is there. Handling evidence, which is there. Handling evidence also says that U.S. power projection can help solve conflicts in places like the Middle East, which gives us relative defense. So, try it out.
Y'all need to compile the relevant for this.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I just sent our doc.
I just sent it. You know, one you see there's a couple cards that Jack marked, and I completed that with just huge spaces.
Cool.
I might be on the phone.
I feel like I voted F. I think that the F outweighs the turns. I think the economy impact is a big problem, and that it's sufficient to outweigh the turns. They have defense to the net neutrality internal link, but there's not defense to, well, there's defense to the ACA link, but not the internal link between that and the economy. So I think states will reform the ACA and not necessarily gut it. I think your argument about GOP wins on the midterms was really good and well explained. And the card period is like a decent example. But because the act is in place now, I think you need more to counter their spin about experimentation and innovation key to a sustainable framework and driving down costs, which is the internal link to the economy. I think that more time in the 2NR could probably do a lot of damage on this, just like based on what you're already kind of winning. But spotting that internal link to the economy is a problem. And disease probably doesn't cause extinction because burnout prevents it. It does probably kill people in the same way that your pro-life Israel strikes impacts have some body counts, but I think it's outweighed by the economy. Fracking, I think you're winning a link. This is mitigated a little bit by the Ebler-02 evidence, which I think is surprisingly good for a generic environmental regulations card. I do think your explanation is definitely better in terms of fracking. The particular reasons that states are bad at fracking regulations, I think that gets ahead on that, but you do get a little bit of link defense from that second Ebler card. And then more problematic is the impact. You never answer the 1AR impact defense. So you have good explanations about miscalc and stuff, but the 1AR good old Take says self-preservation means countries won't get involved and there's no escalation. I don't think you answer that warrant. The foreign policy coherence, I thought this was maybe the toughest part to resolve. It just kind of seems like a wash. I think it's hard to resolve, like arms race, we know arms race, we have a Waltz card, we have a Koenig or whatever card. And this is the least link defense that the app has. So it seems like I could be convinced on this, but in the context of kind of the larger impact debate, I don't think it's sufficient to pull the trigger. So like I said, I really enjoyed this debate. I forgot to write down the stuff that I wanted to say for each team, but I will try to remember. So the one in R, just because this is the first thing that's coming to mind, there were a couple of places that were a little bit hard to flow. I don't know exactly why, but just I don't know exactly why. I just feel like there were places where the tags were either overly wordy or underly wordy, and I don't know which it was. And that got better in sort of the second half of the 1R. The 2AR, because this is the second thing coming to mind, this is like a stupid judge thing. I obviously, figured out what was going on, shortly into the 2AR, but it threw me for a loop that you didn't put the counterclaim in order.
So do you think I should have just not the counterclaim been doesn't solve, or just
this is irrelevant. Yeah, it's just to
okay.
make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to prevent me from being what's going on.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the 2AR moves were all very smart. I think that you kind of have to collapse in the absence of the other stuff. It's you might be in some trouble. Just because I thought the block was really good. Really tired, so I keep losing my train of thought. I thought the 2NR, I don't know what the 1AR defense card said, but you could have extended the environment impact as well to fracking.
I had it written down, I just didn't do it.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess in sort of the abstract or larger context, a little bit more global sort of impact stuff would probably help. Yeah, that's mostly stuff. I'm trying to remember if there's anything going on. It seemed like maybe some of the collapsing could have happened then, that it might have given you more leverage to get rid of something. I would probably get rid of Russia if I were you.
I have questions, but I'll let them ask first. Do y'all have any?
I have questions that were about the politics, so you can go first.
So